everyone, Alexa Dunn here, and today I'm going to be telling you all about why I decided to pursue traditional publishing instead of self-publishing. For me, by and large, the biggest factor that played into my decision many years ago was distribution. I want to get my books and my writing into the hands of as many readers as possible, and traditional publishers are just experts at distribution. They have existing relationships with bookstores and libraries and schools and all sorts of places, and I write young adult fiction. By and large, YA readers are very, very old school. They still prefer physical books, usually hardcovers, and they still predominantly shop in bookstores. Even if they're purchasing books online, they still physically go to bookstores to buy books, but many YA readers are huge supporters of still purchasing their books in bookstores. So having shelf space and being on end cap displays and just physically being available in a bookstore and a reader being able to see your book makes a big difference for YA. I'm very long-term and long game in terms of how I think about my career. I want to be able to walk into a bookstore and see my book on the shelf and pick it up. And I knew that I wanted my debut to have that distribution and debut that way with a large publisher. Long term, I am actually open to self-publishing and therefore becoming a hybrid author, but possibly the self-publishing would be in either other genres, because there are genres that do incredibly well in self-publishing, YA just isn't really one of them, or taking a book in a trope that is difficult to sell traditionally in YA and self-publishing that, because the caveat to YA typically doesn't do well in self-publishing is, of course, there are tropes and trends that publishing decides are dead, but if you self-publish them, the readership and buyers prove traditional publishing wrong. Sometimes traditional publishing is wrong, or just a project isn't right for traditional publishing and it is better suited to self-publishing. But what I write tends to be highly commercial YA fiction. I want that distribution. Tied into that, I want the branding that comes with being with a major publisher. Major doesn't have to mean huge or the biggest or the most famous, but it does mean a reputable publisher with a name and the tools in their toolkit to essentially provide branding and vetting for my book. The thing about publishers, traditional publishers, big publishers, is that they are an unconscious brand to a consumer, meaning a consumer assumes that when they pick up a book from a bookstore or a book that has a certain kind of cover or is from a certain publisher, if they do know the name of that publisher, they go in assuming that there is a base level of quality of the books because a team of professionals and a line of professionals, there are gatekeepers in publishing, have to vet a book at every single stage to ensure that it has solid storytelling and prose and craft, spelling and grammar, that it doesn't have spelling errors or errors in it because it's gone through at a traditional publisher. 6, 7, 8 people can have their hands on your book, and there are so many rounds of revision and editing to hopefully ensure that the product that lands on shelves is high quality. Now, of course, we all know that quality, a relative term, runs the gamut in all books, not just traditionally published books, but statistically, the large majority of traditionally published books are high quality books in terms of craft, prose, storytelling, character development, etc. And I wanted to be vetted. I wanted to go through those steps of publishing and have a team of professionals work with me to ensure that the product that went out to readers was the best it could possibly be. Part of this is that I don't want to wear all of the hats. That's the big caveat with self-publishing. You are running your own business and you have to approach publishing like a business. And some people are incredibly good at this and well suited to it. It's why I do recommend self-publishing to some people, especially if they're publishing in particular genres. There are genres that just bar none do better in self-publishing and you're kind of dumb to hand bunch of your profit to a traditional publisher when you could self-publish it. But by and large, the profit sharing structure and the way that money and business works with traditional publishing is to the best benefit of an author who wants to write books, maybe do a little bit of promotion, but really focus on the creative side of the industry, writing the books. I have an editing skill set. I have a marketing skill set. I enjoy marketing. But I don't have the full complement business skill set. Running a business and dealing with money is really not in my wheelhouse. So I like that I can do the writing and I can self-edit pretty well, but I don't want to worry about all the other stuff. I am fine giving 15% to my agent and however much to my publisher, because I will talk all about money and how it works in traditional publishing in September. September is money month. But I'm okay with the way that money works in traditional publishing so that my agent and my publisher handle all of the business stuff for me. And just generally, I mentioned that I wanted to debut with a traditional publisher and I wanted to debut with a major traditional publisher. So one of the bigger publishing houses, because I wanted to be able to take advantage of the resources and also just the expertise. Traditional publishers know what they're doing, except when they don't. I mean, sometimes they don't, but really, do we ever really know what we're doing? So much of creative arts are following things that you're passionate about, that you think are good, and then seeing how they do. But one thing that traditional publishing knows really, really well, more than one thing that traditional publishing knows really, really well. They know distribution, but they know how to launch a debut. They know how to take an author that no one has ever heard of and take a book that they believe in and give it a launch pad and then send it out into the world. The marketing, sales, and publicity teams are experts. They've been doing this for years. The people who work there were trained by people who did it before them, who have launched many, many successful books and careers out into the world. They know how to talk up a title and drum up media support and get arcs into the hands of the right people to create buzz. And I trust them. I trust my publisher to know how to best work with me to give me the best possible start to my career. Because I am in this for the long game, and so many of us are. We want to have a career in writing, and it is so hard to have a career in writing. I will talk about this when I go over money. The dream of making a living off of writing is mostly a dream for most writers. It is incredibly hard to get an agent, to get a book deal, to get a good book deal, to debut well, to sell more books, to continue to sell books, to sell those books for money that will support you, for money that will support you. It's all really hard, and I like the safety net and the proven track record of going along this path with an agent and a traditional publisher by my side. So those are really my reasons why I chose to pursue traditional publishing from the start. I wanted the distribution. I wanted the branding of a publisher, which it boils down to prestige, that I am able to say, oh, I am published by the same publisher that does Lord of the Rings. And The Giver. It's a nice party trick. It's something to throw out. I wanted their marketing and publicity expertise. I want the team of editors to do what I can't do. Like, my copy editor is a saint. Like, they fix so many of my errors, and that's not something that I would have been able to do. And I also, the cover designers, like, publishers know what they're doing with cover designers and buzz and publicity. Traditional publishing simply suits my personality and my needs. Personality-wise, I'm pretty patient. I'm all about the long game. If I had done that psychological experiment as a kid, the one with the marshmallows, I think I would have held out the 5 or 10 minutes for the second marshmallow. I'm pretty good at sitting tight and waiting. And traditional publishing is a long game and it is all about waiting. But I'm okay throwing out a book if it's not the right book to get me the publishing deal that's going to put me where I want to be. I'm okay. You know, it essentially took me 4 years from the time I wrote one book to selling a book. And I feel it was all worth it. I have that fierce streak of patience. Though sometimes in the moment, it does all drive me crazy and I kind of vibrate a little because why does it take so long? But generally speaking, I'm okay to wait. I'm also not a prolific or a fast writer. To be a really good self-publisher, especially in certain genres, volume is the game. You want to write quickly and well and put out a lot of product because backlist sells frontlist. This is a thing in traditional publishing as well. The more titles you have out, the more likely you are to generate more sales because people find your new titles and they'll read your backlist. But also, a reader who likes you and your style wants to read more. I work full-time, so it's just really not an option for me to produce the volume of writing that would make me successful at self-publishing. Now, of course, I know people who do successfully self-publish would say, well, if you self-published and did it well, you wouldn't need your full-time job. I like my full-time job. I like the security. I like the benefits. And as I mentioned, I am not that business-minded person to necessarily fling myself into self-publishing and do really well at it. And self-publishing, it works out really, really well for some people and not that great for most people. And I don't like the odds. With traditional publishing, if you can get over the initial hurdles, the odds are better for long-term career success. Even if you're not getting a lot of money up front, and of course you do all of the writing for free until someone pays you for it, long game, if things go well, you can end up in a much better, steady financial position. And as I mentioned simply, for YA, traditional publishing is the best choice for me. So that's it in a nutshell. Very curious what you think. What are you writing towards? Are you going for traditional publishing, self-publishing? Are you open to both? Do you have thoughts about being a hybrid? As I mentioned, I'm open to it. I've seen some awesome authors do hybrid publishing really, really well. They use the platform that they got from traditional publishing to successfully self-publish. I think that's pretty cool. Let me know down in the comments what you think and what you're doing, or any questions you have for me, or anything else you would be interested in hearing me talk about. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the little bell so that you can be notified whenever I post a new video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and happy writing!